Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing? You know, one day I'll actually have the link up and ready to go before we start this off. But in the meantime, hello. How are you all doing today? How has your day been? Your morning? What's the best game you've played? All those fun things. Past that, I'm not running that late today. Not like last week. Last week I was an hour late or an hour and a half. It was late. It was a lot. But then again, this week I didn't have a car that was towing a muffler behind it while cutting myself and having to worry about a tetanus shot. Fun fact, I've got to my tetanus shot. It was not painful at all. They said it'd be painful. It wasn't painful. Although I do wonder, and maybe those who are I don't know, maybe anyone who's in medical knows the answer here. I do wonder if my tetanus shot hurt my my immune system. I do wonder that because effectively I am a little sick now, and I think my son, I know my son was a bit sick, and I basically immediately caught it. I have two things with me today. I got some seltzer to stay hydrated, and I got a shot of bourbon cream because when my throat feels this way, a little bit of alcohol is not the worst. I don't do shots, I do sips. Tastes delicious, by the way. Bourbon cream is, so good. Anyways, hello there, Michael. How's it going? George, good afternoon. John Frosty, good to see you as usual. James Sullivan, good afternoon. Patrick, good evening. Hello, Alex. Greetings from Mexico. How are you? How far have you got to Nagamona? Do you think, as of right now, it makes your top 10 for 2024? It's an excellent question. I'd be surprised if it didn't, but it's also early. And, 2023 had a lot of good games coming out. And if 2024 has as many good games as 2023, then it's possible Agamonia would not be in the top 10. I do think it's in my top 10, with the caveat that right now I'm 5 games into it, which is not a ton, but the 3 tutorials plus 2 more after. I plan on continuing to play through it, and I will say the last game I played was the least fun from all the games I've played. But I do really like their system. I find it easy to play, easy to set up, easy to get through. I find it not to be too rules heavy. Like we're doing film playthroughs, which is always a bit trickier. Because the few things I've had that I just didn't know the rules to, if I was playing it in person, I would just charge for it, I don't care. Playing it on a film playthrough, I'm always more stressed about, what if I get this rule wrong? We already got 2 rules wrong, although one of them is 100% their fault. And when I say 100% their fault, to be very clear, the rules are correct. But the graphic design screw up on the way the dice are in Agamonia. If you've watched the playthroughs, they have a symbol on the red dice where basically the symbol means this is not a success, but you can spend 2 stamina for a success. And then they have a nearly identical symbol on the blue dice that gives the exact same impression. It's not the way it works, it's totally different, but it's the exact same impression. From a graphic design and usability standpoint, that is a horrifically bad screw up. Again, credit to them, the rules are correct. So we got it after the 3rd game. I was like, oh my gosh, I caught this, but here we go. Anyways, okay, that's kind of Agamonia. So Agamonia is doing well. I think it's doing well so far. I like it. I think it will be my top 10 of 2024, but ask me again halfway through the year. Even halfway through the year, I'll have a better idea. Right now, I don't think there's anything else in 2024 that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is top 10 material. Versus 2023, did have a slower start, but by the time you got to the end of it, there was a lot of good games. Also, Primal's arriving this year, so there's that. Finally, I got in a game of Fractious Guide 5 players, so much better than 1, 2, or 3. Have I played Fractious Guide 5? I've played it at 3. I've played it at 4. I have not played it at 2. I think I played it at 5, but I'm not certain if I have. But I definitely like it at higher player counts. Although Fractious Guide, I like it. I enjoy the game. It's a lot of fun. I'd rather play City of Spies. That's what that one is. D-Trooper. Hello. Good evening, all. How are you, Alex? I'm doing great, D-Trooper. How are you? Ben Cartier, my copy of Collab is getting delivered today. Hope to get a play this weekend. Enjoy. Let me know how it goes. Collab's an interesting one. I both enjoyed parts of it while not being totally in love with it, but I really like the card system. The way you're trying to line up cards to try to optimize their scoring. I really like that, but I get that from a lot of games. And the other side of the game, the worker placement engine part, I was more mixed on. So I could see it being received very well. I could also see it being a game that's forgotten. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Sukiyamani, good afternoon. Zalbo, good evening. BoardGameCo, I assume that's the other BoardGameCo in chat. Classic Medicine. Sure D, good afternoon. Yeah, it is. It is. A lot of this stuff, I'm telling you. This stuff tastes delicious, and it makes me feel better. Is that where people start? Is that where people start with drugs and alcohol? By saying sentences like that? I'm sick. It doesn't count. Duke Johnny, greetings from Poland. Hello. Izamajam, hello, Alex. BoardGameCo, oops, that was Meg under the BGC name. You're welcome to do it. If nobody sees me typing, they don't even know who you are. It's always interesting, because I've seen that happen with Dice Tower, I've seen it happen with Man vs. Meeple, where you have the company account responding, and if there's more than 2 people, you don't really know who it is. But if it's me here and I'm not typing, it's pretty obvious who it is. Joey Crouch, hello Joey! I'm looking forward to playing TikTok? Hickory Dickory tonight. TikTok. Professor Meg, here we go, fixed. Board Halfling, good afternoon, everyone. Balnor Cray Games. Jane Sullivan, I went back to an oldie but a goodie, Death May Die. I'll be starting Legacy of You next. Already played a bit to learn, now for the real deal. Death May Die is so good. Legacy of You started off very strong for me. I soured in that one pretty quickly, which is sad because Godfall games, I always feel like I don't like their stuff. Wayfarers is the game I like, although I want to play Scholars too. I really want to play Scholars. Sugar Circuit, putting my City of Spies on my list. Oh, City of Spies is so good. I love City of Spies. It gives me all the same... Here's my problem with Veiled Fate. Not Veiled Fate, Fractured Sky. Here's my problem with Fractured Sky. And again, I like Fractured Sky. I've had fun playing it. I will happily play it anytime. My biggest problem with Fractured Sky is you can play the game incredibly well, and then after an hour and a half of playing, it comes down to a coin flip. Because there's secret information and this guesswork around how the information presents, it really can come down to a coin flip by the time you get to the end of the game. Like, not just like theoretically, like literally you're like, oh, well, had I chosen that, or had I done this, or whatever it is. It comes down to literally feeling like, I don't feel I have full control. I feel like I have to play well and then hope that it works out, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Past that, I really enjoy the game. I think City of Spies gives me a very similar system, but I feel I have a drop more play the players as opposed to play the unknown information, if that makes sense. But both are fantastic games. City of Spies is just better for me. Allison Burrell. Hey, friends. Allison, do we get to see you in 2 weeks? What's the date? A week? It's 10 days? What is it, 10 days from now? Allison, do we get to see you soon? Because I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. I guess if it's Wednesday, it's a week plus 5 days, so 12 days? 12 days. 12 days from now, Allison. I assume you're there. Jacob Justice, I know Cyberpunk behind you. What are your thoughts on it? I have not played Cyberpunk since it arrived, but I really like Cyberpunk doing the crowdfunding campaign. I am eager to play it. I don't know when it will get played. The tricky part is my game group that historically has played a lot of area control games doesn't meet as often as it did. I play a lot of games still, but I play a lot of games. I would say that right now most of my game playing is probably with, my main game right now is probably AP, Meg, and then like in 50-50 Max. You don't know Max that well, but he's been on camera here and there. There's a particular member of my game group who used to be more present, who me, AP, and him would play a lot of area control stuff, and then whenever we'd have a fourth, and that just hasn't happened as much. But I do want to get area control games back in the mix. I like them a lot. So my thoughts on Cyberpunk is I really enjoyed it doing the crowdfunding campaign. I am not 100% sold on it. It's not like, oh my gosh, I love this game. I think I give it a 4 to 5, which I have to play it more to see if that changes, but I give it a 4 to 5, and I enjoy it, but want to play it more. Patrick McCline Malum. After half a year of hard work on the Kickstarter campaign, I worked on BoardGameQuest Tales of Lyria for a company in Spain as launched. Are you willing to give it a peek, Alex? BoardGameQuest Tales of Lyria. I feel like I've seen that. Let me go see this over here. BoardGameQuest. I feel like I've seen the title. BoardGameQuest Tales of Lyria. Tales of Lyria. Is that what it's called? Tales of Lyria. Well, why does it pop up as a Steam link? Is it a Steam link? Is it a TTS? Is that what's going? Turn-based strategy game? Wait, now I'm confused. Is this a Steam-based game? Is it TTS? No, it looks like a real game. Okay, BoardGameQuest looks like a board game / tabletop game on Steam. I don't know if it's meant to be, whatever. And then it's currently on Kickstarter. Let's go ahead and go to the link. Oh yeah, I've seen the advertisement for this one. Competitive strategy game RPG for all skill levels. Let's go to the campaign part. Scroll through it. We got Welcome Commander. The box art looks good. Not necessarily the best, but looks good. The general board production, the miniatures look solid. The board, I wish the tile art was a bit different, but I think the miniatures look good and the tile art looks fine. Overall graphic design looks pretty good. I mean, like, looking at it right now, it looks pretty good. Everyone, go check out BoardQuest Tales of Lyria. I mean, I have to look into it more to do a full deep dive, but instinctively, this looks pretty decent. You got testimonials and things. Sean, Bastion, Cody, the Discriminating Gamer, Past Powerful Magic. Yeah, again, I'm not going to do a full deep dive now, but at a glance, it's not like... Honestly, that's a dangerous game for me to play when I'm doing these live, because a lot of games I don't think look great, and that is what it is, unfortunately. Joey Crouch, looking forward to it. Kat, we played Age of Innovation this weekend. Excited to get back to the table. I want to play that at some point, but I'm not in a rush. It'll happen when it happens. Ben Cartier, will BoardGameCo be doing any flow coverage? Yes, absolutely. I just need to really, I need to get bored. Right now I'm currently Dying Light and Flow. I've had a lot of projects on my plate to get done, all with like timers. I had Ostia and Vampire the Masquerade, and I don't even remember anymore. Dante and Inferno. I've had so many games that I have to get played for timelines. Specifically, the 20th and the 27th had a lot of times. I had Forge Flame. I have so many. I had Sea Dragons. Just a lot of things with the 20th and the 27th, both those days. Commands, tactics, whatever it is. But the two left that I have to do film videos for are Dying Light and Flow. Both of them I've dived into a little bit, but neither one am I ready for a video. But I'll get there. We still have a week. Allison Burrell, yes, can't wait to see you. Good, I'm glad. Pop and say hi, but need to get work done. Have a good stream. Enjoy, Meg. Joey Crouch was curious how getting there was going to be if the AT&T or wireless issue wasn't fixed by them, but my phone started working a little bit ago. Oh, interesting. What's been going on with AT&T wireless? I don't know anything about this. Pariah, hello, I'll just pop in and say hi. Hello, Pariah. Gee, Johnny, I'm curious, if you had a chance for a weekend of solo play, of one of the bigger games like Terrace Adventure, SF Guard, or Oath One, which one would you choose now personally and why? If I had to pick, if for 24 hours I could only play one game and it was only me, let's phrase it that way, which game would I pick right now? And it's complicated because what factors are we taking into account? Like Agamonia I wouldn't, because I'm playing with somebody else right now. I'm playing with Meg right now, but we have Terrace Adventures. I could do that, but I already do that as a job to a certain extent, meaning that one's currently now a film-paid gameplay, so I have a pressure on it, which takes away a little bit from the fun. Isofarian Guard is definitely a good choice. Oath One I want to play with others. I think Oath One I'd rather do 2-player. Isofarian Guard I'd rather do 2-player. What's something I'd rather play solo? Unsettled is very good, but Unsettled also is better with more. What is something I'd rather play solo? Arcase, I want to play with more. Resident Evil, the board game, I want to play with more. All these games I want to play with more. I guess the Zaya solo campaign? That's a good one, because it's specifically meant to be played solo. I could see the Zaya solo campaign being an option. I could also see Monster Hunter World being an option. Or Primal, for that matter, if it came. Primal's not here, but if it came. I know, popped in and say hi. Sure, is Cyberpunk a new addition to the wall behind you? Yes, it is. Sukimani, I know Terraria, the board game Kickstarter, starts in May, but hasn't been any talk about what it'll be like. I saw it at PAX Unplugged. It seemed like it was a very card-driven system, but I don't know more about it past that. I've since played Terraria. When I saw PAX Unplugged, I hadn't yet played Terraria, the video game. I've since played Terraria, and now I want to see the board game again, so I have a better sense of it. Ruse Games, hi Alex, hello. Allison Burrow, do you see Darlington's press announcement a few weeks ago about their new game for the Queen? Interested in seeing what it's about. I have not. Darlington Press, I haven't. I've seen their games come out. I've never heard much about their games outside of them launching. Like Queen by Midnight. Queen by Midnight came out, right? When it came out, lots of people talked about it. Has anyone heard anyone say the words Queen by Midnight in the past 6 months? I feel like I haven't. I feel like I haven't seen anyone talk about it. I haven't seen pictures of it. I haven't seen it being played. This is true for their one before it, whatever it's called. I can't even remember the name before it. What was their, like, sea-based one, whatever it was? I feel Darlington Press, they have an audience, they have a community, but I don't feel like I hear anything about their games outside of the launch window, which is not great. Darlington Press, not Darlington Press. I've been calling it Darlington Press because you did that. That's your typo. Joey, AT&T was down nationwide for a ton of people. James Sullivan's AT&T house were down. I did not know any of this. I'm currently on the T-Mobile network, I guess. Although I do wonder. So I've been having an interesting issue yesterday with my Wi-Fi, and I know if you've been following, I have issues with my Wi-Fi for a while now. In fact, even right now, at any given point, someone might be like, hey, stream's got an issue. I don't know. But what I would say is, I had a worse issue last night where it kept dropping in and out consistently. I could not get it consistent at all. Allison Burrell, heard of solar flares that knocked out thousands of cell services. Now I wonder if that's related to my Wi-Fi, because I have something going on. Board Collect, I'm late. Board Game Coffee, hi Alex, fine. Mark, now that you're here, I'll go look what you said. So, Mark sent me a message. Mark, I hope I'm not getting in trouble here. Interesting. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I'm only going to respond to parts of it. But, okay, so, Mark sent me a message saying, I guess you don't care for the dollar down system. Basically, I put out a video talking about the dollar pledges, the idea that, hey, lock in $1, and then before the campaign starts, and you can go ahead and get access to this $10 promo or not. So I've seen that system. I put out a full video on it. I do not like it. I have ways that I'm more okay with it, which I will be doing a full follow-up video on, because I've talked to a lot of creators. I understand some of the reasons for it more than I did before. I still think the way it's implemented is terribly done and feels predatory. I think there are ways to do it that are better, but it's complicated, and we'll get into it. To be clear, I'm still against the system, but I think it is more complicated. But yeah, I don't like the dollar system in general. And there's a Facebook page. Somebody started, Thomas Covert in Board Game Revolution started a Facebook conversation around my video, posting my video from like 2-3 weeks ago, and then being like, hey, what do people think? And so I've been diving into the weeds there and answering a few people here and there. But I do not like the dollar pledge system in general. I am fine with early birds, Mark, just so you know. I don't think early birds are a problem for me. I think it's a little more complicated as to the whys and hows, but we can get into that. But I'm more fine with early birds in general. It is an interesting conversation as to why, but I have the answer. Well, let's do the why. Let's do the why, okay? There are different aspects to the difference between an early bird and the dollar pledge locking in a bonus. There are different benefits and pros and cons, but part of what I'm okay with, no, it's too complicated. I'm gonna save it for my full follow-up video. There's a whole breakdown as to why I'm okay with one thing versus another. But here's the thing. Here's the biggest thing. Forget me entirely. The biggest difference between a tactic. This is going to be part of my video in the future when I go back into the conversation, but here's what I will say. When it comes to any form of marketing practice, whether it's lying about the funding goal, whether it's stretch goals, whether it's exclusives, whether it's early birds, whether it's dollar lock-ins, whether it's lying about the limited pledges, here is the key thing that you want to know. Every single thing you do that has any degree of marketing, anything you do, is going to, any single thing you do that has a degree of marketing to it is going to annoy someone. That is true. You cannot stay alive without annoying someone. Why am I in top chat? I changed it to live chat earlier. Well, I changed now. I changed it back now. I changed it earlier. Anyways, anything you do that ever is going to annoy some people. Every time I put out a video, some people might be bothered by that video. And in life, you have to be okay with the fact that people will not like what you do. You have to. I will do this action, and a non-zero number of people will be bothered by that action. Do you still have the right to do that action? Everyone's going to have to decide for themselves what that level is. For me, a good metric is my dislike counter. A good metric is, if I misstepped, is how many people are upset by the thing I did. That's a good measure in general. But I would say that if I put out a video, let's say I put out a video and it gets 1,000 views, okay, and one person is bothered by that video's existence, I don't care. It's not that I don't want anyone to feel bothered, but I just can't. I can't be responsible for every degree of every decision I ever make and the potential consequences, because otherwise you couldn't act. You couldn't act in life without the risk of offending others. You have to be willing to risk offending others to exist in this world. But the numbers are interesting, because what if the amount of people who are upset by the video I do is 100? What if 1,000 people watch the video and 100 people are upset that that video exists? I should really start questioning myself. At least for me, I would not want that video to exist. If 100 people, if 10% of the people are upset that the video exists, I feel like I've missed that. I feel like in some way, the good versus bad ratio isn't worth it to me. I think when it comes to marketing practices, we can debate the hows, we can debate the whys, but a big question is how many people are upset. A non-zero number will be upset. When you do anything in life, a non-zero number will be upset. What is the personal ratio that you're okay with in order for your thing to be successful? Because right now, the dollar pledge situation has a very large non-zero number being upset at the idea of it, and it does help the campaigns get more funding. So that's a complicated question, and everyone's going to have to answer for themselves. How many people, and say the sentence out loud, how many people am I willing to piss off to benefit myself? That is the question. So I want to have a YouTube channel. I want to talk about board games. I like what I do. I am willing to piss off a non-zero amount of people, but I do want to keep that number low. If I can keep it at 2, maybe 3% of people who are upset at my existence, I'm okay with that ratio. If it's 10, 15%, I'm not okay with that ratio. Everyone has to decide what the non-zero number is for themselves, but it is a non-zero number. Okay, and the reason I'm going to that is because I think that's the crux of the matter. I think everything else is debating why one thing is okay and one thing isn't, but I think the crux of the matter is the non-zero number and understanding people are upset. Queen by Midnight was played by my FLGS last Thursday. They made it about 45 minutes before giving up on the rulebook. Oh. So, Sugar Circuit, that means now that the first time I've heard Queen by Midnight referenced in the past 6 months was in reference to someone giving up on the rulebook, which is not a good look. I still want to play it. By the way, I want to play it. I'm just, it is what it is. Board Collect, I was distracted unboxing Divinus. Divinus, I want Divinus. Okay. Mythwind is a good solo game. My Wind, Mythwind. Joey, I have Mythwind. I have it on the table here. Ugh. But this wouldn't be what I'd be choosing to do just for the sake of playing a game. This to me is work. I want to play it, but it is lower down the totem pole of what I want to play. Weird thing was it was very sporadic as to whose wasn't working. One of my coworkers was working, while mine wasn't. That makes sense. Joachim, good morning, day or evening for wherever you are in the world. It is currently 1:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. James, I'm torn about getting Apiary, but it's out of stock in all stores. Looks like it might be fun, not that I have anything else to play. James, because you probably do have many things to play, get Apiary, but there's no rush. You can get it whenever. Sendeka, do you need all the expansions for Skulls of Sedlic? And if not, what would you recommend getting, please? Honestly, Skulls of Sedlic plus the Poets and the Executioners, those already, you have a good degree of variety in the game, and you're totally fine. There are many other things you can get. I like all of them. I just went instinctively to 2 that I think really mix up the gameplay in very positive ways. I love how the Poets interact with the Lovers, and I love how the Executioners interact with the Prisoners, and I think between those 2 you have a nice combination of interaction, not just solitary point scoring. Because in Skulls of Sedlic, part of the problem is a lot of it is solitary point scoring. These score like that. Those score like that, but they don't interact. Past the nobles and the peasants, there's not a lot of interaction. But adding in the Poets and the Executioners suddenly means it's a lot more interaction between the classes, and so I like those a lot. But others are good too. Alison Burrell, the rulebook sucked, gameplay was enjoyable. Joey Coach, the internet office has been going out on occasion here and there for the last month too. I switched from AT&T, and it is arguably the worst decision that I've made in the past like 6 months. Whatever. Own your actions. Zomerdome. When it comes to games looking good or not, that big yellow blob in the Cyberpunk box really bothers me with how ugly and distracting it is. Kind of like a warning sign behind you, Alex. I don't disagree. I don't think that the yellowness is the best, but usually I'm sitting like this, so it's not as noticeable. But I don't disagree that it is a very yellow box. Mikhail Karpovich would love to spend a day playing RuneScape Kingdoms, but don't have it yet. Mine just arrived about an hour ago. I opened the box, but I'm going to be filming an unboxing after this. Well, probably a little later, because I like doing it with my afternoon coffee, but around 3 o'clock or so, I'll film my unboxing. Jerry Coach, there might be an issue with some of the internet backbone in the Cleveland area, but saying that I hadn't really had issues with the APT, saying that I hadn't really had issues with AT&T Fiber. I love AT&T Fiber. I switched to save like $40 a month, which was great, but I now hate the internet. So I'm still upset, and we'll see what happens. Brian T, good afternoon. Sugar Circuit. James Sullivan, my store currently has it. If you're dying to get your hands on it, you can DM me in one of the many Discords. Good to know. Joachim Hassel. So, Alex, what are the top 10 or 12 for not backing a Kickstarter? I need a full sentence. What are the top 10? What are the top 10 what? Reasons? I don't understand. I'm not following. Board Game Coffee. We need to talk. I'll give you the whole walkthrough the dollar versus the early bird. I'm happy to have a conversation whenever you want, Mark. Mark, are you going to be at Gamma? Please tell me you'll be at Gamma. You're not going to be at Gamma. I think we had this conversation. I miss you. Oh, no, we had the conversation about something else. Let me know if you're at Gamma. I'd love to talk to you. You know, I should finish it off. Okay. Joachim, clarify. Sorry, reasons. What are the top 10 reasons for not backing a Kickstarter? I'm going to do this off the top of my head. Just randomly. There's no particular order to this. I've done videos like this. I will do videos like this again. You have to wait 1.5 years for the game. By the time you get the game, it may or may not be something you care about. Your game group may have changed. Your taste may have changed. You may have found another game that fits that interest. They are more expensive than usual. They're usually not the best value. There are times when they are, but more often than not, they're not. More often than not, we are triggered by FOMO. For whatever reason, think about your own emotional reasons. Very often, you are interested in backing a game at Kickstarter, but if that same exact game is offered to you at the same exact price when it arrives, you are less interested in it. That is insane. That is complete insanity. Think of a game you backed a year ago, and think about if somebody had offered it to you today for the exact same price, meaning effectively, you're getting a better deal. There's less risk. You're not wasting the money for a year, but you'd be less interested in doing that. That is insane to me. You have plenty of games you're not playing already. There's much less review content on crowdfunding games. There's much less opinions to see if the game is for you or isn't for you. I don't know, there's other reasons, I'm sure. Because once you cover review, pricing, and FOMO, I mean, those are the main reasons. I'll go with those. We'll call that a day. 6 reasons off the spot. Michael Joyce, I'm looking forward to Divinus. Just need to wait another 2 or 3 months for it to arrive. I want my copy. Jamie, currently playing Ice right now. Is Ice in your pipeline anytime soon? I just went through yesterday. I went through my campaign games list and organized all of it to try to get a sense of what I should or shouldn't do. I have too many campaign games, which I know, that's not news to me. The problem is I tried to like whittle it down further and get rid of a few more. I was able to justify purging 3 more campaign games. That's not enough. I still have, even after purging like 3 more, I still have like 36 campaign games, and I don't want to give them up. I don't want to not play them. I want to engage and play them and all that. So I don't have an answer for you because I mean, ISS Vanguard isn't the queue. It isn't the queue. It's not going away. I've been wanting to pull the trigger on Brass Birmingham, but I don't find anything attractive about it other than its number 1 ranking. How would you convince someone to play Brass? I wouldn't. If the only reason you're interested in it is the number 1 ranking, that is a terrible reason to be interested in a game. A bigger question is, do you like other similar games? Do you like Anno 1800? Do you like other Euro games? What midway to heavy Euro games do you enjoy? Give me that information. Tell me the midway to heavy Euro games that you enjoy, and I'll recommend whether Brass is or isn't for you, based on my opinion. But if you can't tell me the heavy Euro games you enjoy, Brass shouldn't be your first one. And you'll always have that one person. Every time you say something like this, every time you're like, oh, by the way, Gloomhaven shouldn't be your first game, you'll be like, I fell in love with the hobby through Gloomhaven. Congratulations, you're the exception. There's always that one person who thinks that their experience is indicative of a normal experience or how things should be done. It isn't. Do you have any plans to review the Marvel Zombies expansions? Nope. I have found a long time ago that whenever I try to hold off reviews, specifically for the sake of trying to include expansions, it means the expansions never really get covered. And if you're saying, well, I didn't say hold off the review, I just said, do you plan on reviewing it? You already reviewed Marvel Zombies. Actually, did I review Marvel Zombies? I don't know if I did. I reviewed Marvel Zombies Hero of Resistance. I don't know if I reviewed the final game. I find I do expansion content here and there. I find that Marvel Zombies has so much expansion content, I'd be kind of stuck. What do I do? Do I just pick the expansions as I play them? I could, but it's less time sensitive, it's less relevant. I already have a backlog that is from today until tomorrow. Everyone knows Marvel Zombies. I can see it being content I do at some point in the future, but it would likely be at some point in the future. I don't see it happening anytime soon. Brian T. Alex, how often do you think these things come up when it isn't an issue, but people are reactionary because they're used to being screwed over and don't dig into the issue to see if it's a problem? Whoa. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? What? I need more context. How often do what things come up? Joachim Hassel, sorry, reasons. Alison Burrell, Mark, it's been years since I've seen you. You need to be a Gamma. I don't know if he'll be a Gamma, but I hope he is. Board Collect, why the shot glass? Did I miss that? Yes, I am sick, and so I took a little bit of alcohol and a little bit of water, so I can keep myself hydrated, but also alcohol is great for a sore throat, and my throat's a little sore. Not that sore, but I can use the alcohol. I don't drink that much. I'm such a slow, I'm a lightweight. I don't drink. I don't get drunk. I do drink. I don't get drunk. I sip periodically some form of beverage, and I don't drink on camera a lot either because I don't know. It's not a thing I want to get into. But if I'm sick, I'll give myself the leeway. Now that I finished the alcohol, I'm gonna go to the seltzer. Do you have any recommendations for games that are like Scythe with the Fenris expansion? I haven't played the Fenris expansion, so I can't answer that. Anak Janku, that's a cute cup. What's in it? This was bourbon cream. Okay, I think it's from Costco. I think. It's a nice little white jug, but it's bourbon mixed with cream, and it's delicious. I like it a lot. This is a little shot glass from Miami Beach. It's my son's shot glass. And if you're like, why does my son have a shot glass? All our kids have a shot glass. And if you're like, are your kids raging alcoholics? No, it's for grape juice. They have grape juice. Michael Joyce, Reason 11, be Canadian, and get everything plus 1 month later than everything else. That's fair. Zomadrome, probably would have been a fun video like the culling video with Meg, but this time you have the problem of not wanting to get rid of anything. I love campaign games, so I know the feeling. I debated doing a culling video. But then I looked back and I saw that my last big campaign game culling video was 8 months ago. And I was like, that is too recent for me to be like, let me try to cull more games, and I can only cull 3. Well, yeah, it's been 8 months since the last one. My thoughts haven't changed that much. So I was like, you know what? I put a bookmark on myself to see if I want to do a culling video in another 4 or 5 months when time has passed. But I do hope to cull more campaign games because I really want to get that number down. And culling them, sometimes you play them and then you're like, this is really good and I want to keep playing it, and then it goes into the shelf. Other times you play them and you're like, I don't know if I need it as much. There's some good games I want to get rid of. Not want to get rid of, but will get rid of, because I have to. My problem is that because of COVID, a lot of crowdfunding games were delayed, and now they're all coming at once. ISS, 7th Citadel, Robinson Crusoe. Yeah, I got Robinson Crusoe. 7th Citadel should be here soon. ISS I already had. Yeah, that's a real problem. That is a real problem. I get it. There's a reason I back less. Matsy313, what's your favorite Seven Wonders game? Duel is the best in my opinion. I prefer Architects over the original with a group. Well, my opinion is going to be drastically different than yours. I prefer Seven Wonders the most, I think. Seven Wonders Duel I like a lot, but I don't get the same sense of joy. It's more tactical and cutthroat. I think it's a better game. I think Seven Wonders Duel is a better game, and I still prefer Seven Wonders. And Architects I did not love. I thought it was, it was fun, but anything I get from Architects, I get from Seven Wonders, and I prefer Seven Wonders. I would never choose Architects. Board Collect, I did this the other night for a sore throat, had a finger of whiskey. Yeah, I'm really not a big drinker, especially not during the day, but like, I was feeling it. Summer Drum, except for Mythwind that you guys got months earlier than the rest of us, still waiting here in Europe. Yeah, that happens. Brian, Alex, Context Dollar pre-orders, AI art, other hot button issues. Interesting. So you're saying people are upset about the dollar pledge or AI art because they're used to being screwed over. I don't think so. I mean, I think people are reactionary, sure, but I just think that they are. I think the dollar pledge. Okay, there's two different things. Let's talk about the dollar pledge and let's talk about AI art. The dollar pledge is ultimately a feelings game. People have seen the dollar pledge, they've encountered the dollar pledge, and they were faced with an icky feeling. The icky feeling was either I spend $1 before the campaign's ever live, which feels yucky to me. It just feels yucky. Or I don't, and I potentially lose out on this $10 promo that I now have to spend $10 on because I could have gotten it for $1. Both those are just yucky feelings. You're forcing the person into a no good feeling no matter what they choose. That sucks. The no good feeling is not fun. People are confronting the no good feeling that the dollar pledge is putting in front of them. Either way, it is a no good feeling. Either you pay the $1 and you feel like you got suckered into it, or you don't pay the $1 and you feel like you missed out on the promo. Either way, you don't feel good. And I think that that is just not a fun experience to force your backers through. So I think people are reacting to the fact that a company has put them into a situation where it doesn't feel like there's a win. And you're like, oh, just walk away, just don't engage. Okay, great, but what if I do like the game? What if when you show me all the information, I do like the game and I'm interested? We're like, just pay $1, but I don't want to pay it. Why am I paying $1 before the campaign even starts? Like, we're already talking about something that involves paying upfront for something that comes a year in advance, if you're lucky. And now you're like, hey, pay another 3 months up front. Like, where does it end? It's just a no good feeling. It's stupid. It's so stupid. Anyways, yeah. In case it wasn't clear, I don't like the dollar pledge. I think it's so silly, and I understand why it exists. I think there are benefits to it. I think it's stupid. The AI art thing is actually an interesting one. Most of the pushback I've seen about AI art comes from the publisher side. I'm not saying that there are definitely backers who don't like it, but most of the pushback against AI art I've seen has come from the publishers or the artists or the graphic designers in the industry. In general, campaigns don't seem to be affected. People don't seem to be bothered. People still back things with AI art. To me, I look at it and I'm like, hey, does it look good or not? If it doesn't look good, then I'm not interested. If it does look good, then I am interested. I think there are very real conversations about AI that are complicated and should be had. And even right now with the whole video with Sora coming out, I think there are huge conversations about AI where we should take it very, very seriously. And the ramifications of it should not be understated. I don't think it's theft. I don't. And again, I've talked with dozens of people about this, and I've yet to have somebody who convinced me that it was theft. The closest I've gotten is, and I'm happy to have this conversation with anyone, by the way. I'm happy to have this conversation with any individual. If you can convince me it's theft, by all means do so. I don't see how it is. The closest thing I've heard to why it's theft is, well, machines are different than humans, so just because when a human does it, it's okay, doesn't mean that a machine does it, it's okay. I acknowledge that. It doesn't mean it's not okay. I acknowledge machines are different than humans. So if anyone wants to have the conversation with me and convince me why it's theft, I'm happy to have that conversation. Otherwise, I don't see how it is. And I understand it's trained off art that's stolen from other people. I understand all that. I don't think it matters. Just the way, whatever. Anyways, it's very hard because I want to have this conversation in good faith, but the comments are going to come in 10 seconds later, and it's hard to have a back and forth conversation. So I'm able to say my piece, but you're not able to fully say yours. If you believe you can convince me that it's theft, by all means, my email is in the bottom of every video. Shoot me an email, I'll schedule a call with you, and we will see if we can get any progress in that. Because I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and yet to actually, and yeah, I've yet to be convinced. Don't get me wrong, I do think AI should be taken seriously. There's a big difference between those two things. I think AI has a real threat. It's just not. I don't think it's theft. Friends, I'm finally late. What are you talking about? What did I miss? Not a lot. It's been a slow-moving day. It's been a good day, but a slow-moving day. Regular, just conversations are coming in and out. We're talking about, I don't know, stuff. Nothing specific. Sweat Mom, you missed just a little bit more than me. I just got here, so I can't educate you. Joyce, I'll see you're being Canadian and raise you living in South Africa and adding plus 3 months. Ajma Kefefko. Alex, do you know when you'll receive your Primal Pledge? I've seen that people in the US have already received the base game and fulfillment the can will start soon. I would love to see Primal content. I would love to see Primal content too. I need to get it. I was late too. You missed Alex taking a shot. Aaron, is there an upcoming new dungeon crawler from CMON and GameFound soon? I cannot. So, I'll tell you this, okay? We're going to be transparent with each other. I do know everything coming from CMON to GameFound this next year. I therefore can't talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it. In the past, when I didn't have information, I'm happy to speculate. Even if I think I know, like, I still remember, one of my favorite moments on this channel is the moment on camera where I realized that Marvel Zombies was happening. I was just talking, I was thinking, I was like, they announced another campaign, it's something big, and I was like, it's Marvel Zombies. On camera, I realized there was Marvel Zombies. A bunch of people were like, that would be cool, but no way. Like, people did not believe me. There was a moment on camera where you can see me figuring out on camera that Marvel Zombies happened. That was a very cool moment for me. I like that. I can't have that moment right now because I know Kamon's lineup for the year. I also can't tell you, so nothing. So, I mean, I'm glad you made it. Hobbyist, hi Alex, big fan. I'm planning to do some gameplay videos with my wife. Any tips for a newbie starting this type of videos? Ooh. I wouldn't start with gameplay, I'd say that. Gameplay to me is a lot. I would not start with gameplay instinctively, but as far as tips, without knowing more about your setup, your situation, or anything else, I would highly encourage you having a front-facing camera and a top-down camera. I would encourage you to consider the type of content you want. There are two types of gameplay videos that generally exist, two main type of videos. One is a heavy focus on the rules, the process, the getting it right, the mechanics. The other is a heavy focus on personality. It's about the people having fun, and yes, they're also playing the game. I find Dice Tower falls into personality content, I fall into the personality content. This is not meant to be a ding or ego, it's just the way we approach it. I don't care if I get the rules right. I'm here to have fun, and you follow along and engage. I would say, you know, gaming rules is probably more the rule side. Monique and Avine, actually, before you play, are probably a little bit mid. They probably do a little bit of both. They definitely are personality driven, but I think they're very, there's a reason they're very popular. There's a reason they do well. There's, you know, heavy cardboard is more rules based. And like you'll find that interesting because you'll have comments like I'll switch it back and forth between the top and the front shot, and there'll be people who are like, "Why are you switching to the front? I don't want to see your face. I want to see you play the game." And I'm like, "Dude, you're on the wrong channel. This is like we're here for personality. We're here for fun." And I create the content I want to consume. I do not watch videos on gameplays that are based on getting it right and the rules and all that. I find they are much slower and they're not enjoyable to me, and that's not why I'm there. I do watch Dice Tower gameplays. I'm here for the feel and the fun. So decide what kind of gameplay you want to watch and lean into that. You know, don't worry about too much about pleasing everyone. You will never please everyone. You know, pay attention to the comments you get and see if that comment resonates with what you think is a sore spot. If someone says, "Hey, the audio is not great," and that is something you agree with, well then focus on the audio. If someone says the audio is not great and you're like, "It sounds fine to me," move on. You will never make everyone happy. Do not try to. But that doesn't mean disregard people. It just means be true to yourself and take feedback into account. So me, glad you made it. To Sundeka, now you have Command and Game Found can use your incredible influence to get them to a Trevag Legends 2.0 so the game can fulfill its true potential. Trevag Legends 1.0 isn't even fully delivered yet, so, and no, I don't have as much influence as you think I do. Jan Moding, as a graphic designer, I'm using AI for years now. Half of Photoshop tools are based in AI. Yep. Brian, I think people react automatically assuming there's some sort of deceptive or malicious intent. With $1 pre-order may be benign and the developer just doesn't want to fail a campaign. I don't think anyone who's doing $1 is acting with the intent to deceive or the intent to be malicious. I think people can do things all the time where the intent isn't malicious, but the actions still are. I don't think if I chose to engage in clickbait on the channel, my goal wouldn't be, hey, how can I make you feel bad and feel forced into clicking on the video? My goal would be, I want to increase my views and engagement, so I will engage in clickbait. And the unintentional consequence would be you feeling taken advantage of and you not liking my content as much. I don't think I would never accuse anyone of malicious intent in this. I mean, most people in life do not engage in malicious intent. There's a skit. I love this skit. I've referenced it a while ago, but it's been a while, so I'm going to reference the skit now. So it's a Saturday night live skit, okay, with The Rock, with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and it's the evil contest. And I love this skit. To me, this is the definition of understanding people and evil and human emotions and all those things. But the skit basically is they're having an evil contest. And the contest is to create the most evil invention. And so one person gets up on stage and he's like, "I've created an invention. It's going to shrink the moon and I'm going to steal the moon." Ha 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 ha. And everyone claps and applauds and all that stuff. Another guy's like, "I've invented this freeze ray and it freezes the bank store open and it collapses and rubbles and I can steal all the money from the bank. Ha 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 ha." And then Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson goes up on stage and he has this robot next to him. And he's like, "So I've invented this robot and it's a robot." And I was like, "Well, what does the robot do?" And he's like, "Well, this is a robot that it molests children." And everyone's like, shock. And the guy's like, "What?" And he's like, "Well, it molests children." And someone else in the crowd's like, "I don't understand." The guy's like, "It molests children." And the guy's like, Dwayne's like, "You see, that guy gets it." He's like, "I don't get it. No, no." Everyone's like backing off in horror at this robot that molests children. And the guy's like, well, how do you even create something like that? He's like, well, first you invent one robot, and then you invent another robot, have it molest that, and it just perpetuates the cycle. And it's just going on and on and on. And Dwayne's like, I don't understand. This is like the evil compass. Like, I think I win, right? And the whole pitch of this skit is so often in life we perceive evil as something that it isn't. Evil is, like, the true concept of evil comes down to, I want to do bad for the sake of doing bad. What's the motivation for inventing a robot that molests children? Nothing. Pure evil. Versus inventing, without even getting, well, I don't want to get too hard down dark rabbit. I'm not going to go too far down a dark rabbit hole. But the robot molesting children, pure evil. Versus the stealing money from a bank, stealing the moon. While those have evil consequences, the motivation isn't I want to do bad. The motivation is I want the thing for myself. I want that thing. I want something. Most people in life are driven by the motivations that aren't evil-based. It could be fear. You hurt people because you're afraid they'll hurt you, so you do something bad. It could be that you want money, so you steal something. It could be any number of different things. Whatever you do, most bad actions are triggered by an intent where the intent isn't bad. You're just willing to engage in the bad thing to get to the end result that is the thing you want. I think evil is such an interesting concept to come up with. No matter who you are, whether you're someone stealing $5 or whether you're Hitler, I think the intents aren't always I want to do harm and hurt people. The intents just have the consequence. Not to compare the dollar campaign to Hitler. There's no Godwin's law here. That's not what I'm doing. AI is trained off of existing art, just like artists are influenced by existing art. Eric, I completely agree with you. I've had an idea for an art piece, okay? I want to do an art piece where, as an artist, I'm not an artist, but if you are an artist, this is my idea. You can have it, it's yours, enjoy. You should go ahead and you should do an actual art piece where you create an art piece where you butcher somebody else's famous signature. Basically, you find like a part of the Mona Lisa or whatever it is, or some famous art piece, and then you draw the art piece, but you butcher the signature so it's meshed into the art. Okay, and if you did that and you created that so that it looks like a bad AI copy that kind of copied the signature into the art, if you did that, that would be art, right? That would be a commentary on AI. When humans do it, it's commentary, it's inspiration, it's all that. When a machine does it, it's theft. Why? I don't know, and I've yet to have somebody convince me. And I've had the conversation, so yeah. AI is trained off existing art. Sidney Johnson would love to see AI produce artwork in the style of Keith Parkinson. Rip. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Again, I think AI is messy. I'm not trying to undermine the consequence of AI. I think it's a huge problem. I think this whole Sonder thing Sora. I think this whole Sora thing is very, very complicated and will result in huge issues. And I think we should create laws around the issues. I want to be very clear. I am for some degree of control or laws or things around AI to ensure that it doesn't have drastically problematic ramifications in society. The tricky part is, like many things in life, I think the laws are necessary. I think this is kind of an environmental production kind of situation. Like, are you going to be environmentally conscious or not? Is it good for society? Yes. Is it bad for you if you're the only one doing it? It is a little hard. It's a bit of a prisoner's dilemma. Anyone who chooses to ignore AI, it's a very complicated subject. You get a chance to play a production copy of Fractal? I don't think I have a copy of Fractal coming my way. I was fine with it, but I didn't feel the need to ask for a pledge, and I certainly didn't back it. Might sound aggressive. I liked it. I didn't like enough to spend $100 on it. Hello, everyone. Glad I can make it. Hello, Aaron. Matsy, I appreciate how upfront you are about your partnership with GameFound and your videos. I'm just wondering how you're allowed to be negative about games promoted on GameFound. Absolutely. And I have been. Yeah. I made it so it's a little complicated. There are things that I've done along the way that are different. So, for example, if a content goal, I mean, first of all, okay, well, I'm trying to figure out which way to approach this. Starting basis is if you are a publisher and you send me a game, even if you're on GameFound, and you send it to me to review, I assume you're okay with me reviewing it, because otherwise, don't send me your game. Meaning, if you know I work for GameFound, I don't know if you're hoping for only upfront cover, only positive coverage, that's on you. But so a review, I'm not worried about at all. For a while, I did try to avoid doing any negative content where it wasn't asked for. Meaning, effectively, you didn't send me the copy to review. Instead, your game is on GameFound. And then I'm doing my 2-back or not to back, and I'm covering the campaign. For a while, I kind of just hedged having any, I just didn't have any opinions. I didn't have positive, I didn't have negative, I just showcased the GameFound campaign. The problem is I can't keep doing 2-back or not to back, especially with GameFound growing in popularity. I can't keep doing 2-back or not to back and then not having opinions on half the games. So eventually I started doing it. And I haven't really gotten a lot of pushback yet. I had one incident recently where I was negative about a campaign in a different video, and the publisher was not happy about it because I worked for GameFound. I got on a call with them, I talked it out with them, we resolved it, it's all good. But ultimately, I am going to give my opinions on things. as always, whether you're on GameFound or not, I try to be respectful about it. Recently, I did coverage on Food Chain Magnet. I was talking about how expensive the game was. I work for GameFound. Why am I doing a video talking about how expensive Food Chain Magnet is? Because it was relevant. Because it's the kind of thing Alex from BoardGameCo, the YouTuber, would have done. And so Alex from BoardGameCo, the YouTuber, did. I keep the two jobs very separate. That was my terms with GameFound when I took the job. So for me, it's okay to keep it separate. For the audience, it's okay to keep it separate. It's better. For GameFound, I told them that's the terms. The only people who are the potential problem in this conversation is the publishers who didn't ask to be sucked into this dual relationship. And I do feel bad about that. But you can't serve all masters. If I am fairer to the publishers, I'm not being fair to the audience. So I have to pick and choose. Like I said earlier in this video, you can't make everyone happy. So pick or choose. Aaron Taylor, hello Prior, how are you doing? Oh, Matt, what is your time split between this channel and your job at GameFound? So that's a complicated answer. Much more time goes into this channel, but also the time that goes into this channel includes playing board games. Like, my playing board game time is often BoardGameCo time. So I would say at GameFound, I'm putting in a general 8-hour day. I'm putting in the time, putting in the hours, but the rest of my time, BoardGameCo, is probably like 10 hours a day or something like that. I don't know. And plus weekends. Oh, that's probably the difference. The difference is probably the weekends. Because it's hard to have 10 hours plus 8 hours. I mean, I do only sleep 5, but the rest of the day is not just an hour. But I'd say, yeah, the weekends. It's probably 8, and then the weekends are probably where I catch up on BoardGameCo. And over vacation time, and conventions, and all that stuff. Aaron Taylor, Pariah, how are you doing? Brian, there's a channel called Board Game Garden that has someone named Jenna that's all chill vibes and personality. Yeah, I agree with her. And she's gotten flack for getting rules wrong. She's gotten people who are like, why are you learning the game on camera? I can't stand this. Be professional. And I'm like, screw you. Like, screw you. I was wearing that cloak thingy-majiggy that I have. Like, that very, very cloak. I'm wearing a poncho now, but the cloak thing I have. And I had someone comment on the video saying, wow, it looks like you're wearing, like, sleepwear. It's so unprofessional. And somebody else, like, I didn't bother engaging, but somebody else was, like, engaged in the comments, being like, it looks like it's comfortable. And the guy's like, yeah, it's so unprofessional. I'm here to have fun. That is my responsibility to me. I'm here to have fun. And that either works for people or it doesn't. And I understand when it doesn't. I do. It just means I'm not the channel for you. The person who wants the fully prepared solo gameplay live streamed as opposed to the person who's communicating and engaging and having fun along the way, I understand that person. What I don't understand is the person who chooses to leave a comment. Just go find somebody else that you do resonate with. If Jenna from the Board Game Garden learning how to play a game on a solo live stream and checking the rulebook and referencing the rulebook isn't for you, that's fine. Go somewhere else. It's not like you paid for it. But yeah, she's all vibes. She's all vibes. I like vibes. Hobbyist, thank you very much, man. Very nice tips. I also like Monique and Naveen as my baseline. Yeah, Monique and Naveen are fantastic. My challenge now is setup. It's difficult. Yep. Michael Joyce, I think the basis of the AI argument is related to sampling. Recording artists would need to request licensed use of samples they use. AI training is effectively sampling all their source info. So, Michael, I agree with you, but here's the problem. AI art is not copying and then directly replicating. AI art is no different than a human artist. It sees, it views a thing, it takes it into account, and then it formulates its own thing from it. That's what humans do. That's what the machine does. I can look at thousands of pieces of art from regular artists, copyrighted or not copyrighted, with permission or without permission, and can come up with my own thing that is inspired by that. I don't understand why the AI inspiration is different. I just don't see the answer. And I understand the person who says, well, a human is different than a machine, I understand that. That doesn't mean it's wrong. That just means that I acknowledge it is not completely the same. It still doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that it's not necessarily right. But we don't stop things just because they're not necessarily right or wrong, just because they're unclear and they're foggy. It's foggy. Hobbyist life. Which camera position, mic, lights, etc.? Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's a lot. That is a longer conversation to get into. The cameras I use are expensive. The mic I use is a Rode Micro. It's $50. And lights, you can get pretty good lights for like reasonably priced. I used to use a cell phone camera. It does the job. It's not necessarily the best job. The cameras I use now are like $4,000 a piece between the lens and the body. So that's more than I recommend spending until you're ready for that. Brian, I feel like I came in and the stream went instant dark. My bad. Brian, that's just how I roll. Michael, what's the answer? Not my place to say, but I can see the issue. Oh, yeah, Michael, I see the issue. The issue is complicated. Oh, boy. Who wants to get Alex canceled? Who wants to get Alex canceled? How many people are watching? We got 84 people watching, okay? Here's Alex cancel gets moment, okay? Do I do this? So, here's an example I've used. I believe I've only used it one-on-one in conversation. I haven't said it on the internet because it's the kind of thing that gets you in trouble. But whatever. I don't know if I want to do this. So, when does life begin? People are like, whoa, this conversation just got serious. When does life begin? When you're engaging in a conversation around the nature of abortion, and is it okay, is it not okay? A big part of that conversation is, when does life begin? And I think we all agree that, when most of us can agree, that once you're born, you're alive. Until then, when does it begin? Does it begin at a certain point in time? Does it begin, like, where does that process begin? Okay. I think the thing that's interesting to me is I have a suspicion that most of the people who are against AI art are probably for abortion. They're probably pro-abortion, which I think is a reasonable conversation. I'm not even here to get into whether abortion is or isn't okay. But I think part of the conversation is around, when is something one thing versus when is it the next thing. I agree that the AI art conversation is certainly complicated. But I think the same people who are like, absolutely no, it's theft, you shouldn't do it, are more laissez-faire when it comes to whether something is or isn't a life. And I'm not even saying you should or shouldn't get into abortion. I'm just saying that I wish they were as... If you're anti-AI art and you're for abortion, I think you should check where your real concerns are and what the source of them is. Because I think both of those are very messy conversations to get into, and they do both come down to, when does one thing begin and when does the other thing end? That's what they come down to. So, okay. But anyways, again, if you're consistent in both, it's a different story. But if you're for abortion and you're anti-AI art, I think it's an interesting stance to take. Okay. I think based on the argument, what's the answer? I'm back until the baby loses. Okay, yes. BoardGameCo Coffee, good to see you again. Excuse me, but I didn't quite get the other solo title you mentioned earlier next to Primal. The one that looks amazing. Could you repeat it or link it here, please? I don't remember which one. Anyone knows the game in the back bottom right? Art looks so good. Back bottom right. So my back bottom right is that side. So your back bottom right is this side. Tamashi over there, or you mean Scarface below it? I gotta be one of those two, right? Brian, Alex said have fun. Where are the care streams, Alex? Where is Devin to get you drinking responsibly and juggle knives? Devin doesn't visit anymore. Okay, Devin doesn't visit anymore. It's a problem. Andrew G, what would you define as an evergreen game? What games fit this category for you? To me, or in the hobby in general? Catan is an evergreen. It's not an evergreen for me. But as far as my evergreen games, Castle of Burgundy, Seven Wonders, I don't know. I mean, any game that's been there for like Terraforming Mars. There's a lot of games that I think are going to be here for a very long time. And some great games do have to leave, but those are all pretty safe. Jacob Justice, I feel like expansions are getting out of control. Developers withholding content they know should be in the base game, but branding as an expansion. Do you see this also as just me? I don't see it also. I understand why you do see it. I think that you don't want to produce too much content in the game. Now, if a game feels like it's missing content, that's different. But if you didn't know the expansion was there, and you thought the expansion was fine, if you didn't know the expansion was there and you thought the base game was fine as is, I think it's fine. I think things can have expansion content. I'm not seeing a clear case of it being out of control, with the exception of when you have a crowdfunding campaign where all the expansions are like, it's like, hey, here's a base game and 7 expansions. Where are the expansions? The expansions are now. Why is it not part of the base game? Because we want to give you options and sell a lot of stuff to you. That's a different conversation, and it's the nature of crowdfunding nowadays, but it is what it is. Brian T, Alex, don't get yourself in trouble. The fear in the eyes of Alex. You're not wrong. James Sullivan, don't Alex. Joe checked for Firefly. They're getting some, but don't have any right now. Joe checked for Firefly. Okay. That was unintended. Meant don't, Alex. Hobbyist life. Do you play board games with your kids? How do you keep them engaged with so many electronic distractions? My kids don't have cell phones. Well, I guess they have tablets. I do play games with my kids a lot. I find they generally like game time a lot. I wouldn't force them to play games. I think if you force them to play games, that's going to be the biggest problem you have. But I don't force them to play games at all. I just play games with them when they want to play games, and they like being there, and they enjoy time with Dad. So for right now, it's going great. As they become older teenagers, my oldest right now is 12. I'll let you know if that continues to change, or if it continues to be the case, or if it changes. Alex, do you want to abort the AI? That is a complicated conversation. Gary, knife juggling. I need a link to see that. It is an older live stream way back when. I don't know which one it was. Looking for some opinions on Set a Watch. I like the gameplay of Set a Watch. I don't like the setup, but I like the gameplay. So that's kind of my and I also overstays its welcome a bit. If it had less setup and was 15 minutes shorter, I would really like Set a Watch. As it is, I still like it, just not as much. Gary, there's a video from last year of Alex juggling and Meg with knives. That is dangerous. I do juggle. So, I mean, I can't do juggling right now because I only have the one knife, but I should be able to throw this without worrying about it. You know, this is just, you have to learn the weight. But I used to juggle, so I know how to juggle, you know, what I need. I did juggle with knives at one point. These are not balanced knives, so it is a little different because balanced knives are very easy to juggle. And it's actually interesting because a balanced juggling knife is, the handle is this long and the blade is this long. And you might think that's scarier. It is scarier, but it's safer because the knife's balanced. So you're throwing something that's primed for it to rotate and flip back. Versus this is not that way. So you have to kind of force it to throw. And the tricky part is you can practice with the knife closed, but then the weight's off. If you practice with the knife closed, you have to relearn the weight when you do this. Even there, like that was a little careful. Like that actually threw me off. Like the process of juggling with the knife closed. So I guess you could put a sleeve over it. That actually might work. If you put a clear plastic sleeve, especially with a knife like this that's not that, you know, sharp, that might prevent any potential mishaps along the way. But I don't recommend juggling with knives that are not meant for juggling, especially if you don't juggle. Favorite board game mechanic? Drafting, every single time. Also, by the way, it is 2 o'clock, and I have another meeting in 10 minutes and 15 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up soon. Joshua Burke, do you think Stretch Bay helped sell Come on GameFound? Any word in the app? Do you see that AR is teasing a new campaign for including Castle of Burgundy? I know things that are happening behind the scenes, so I have to be very careful about how I answer any question. But I would say that I assume Stretch Pay was a factor in Come On coming to GameFound. I assume. I don't know for sure, but I assume. I know they were interested in our features in general, but I assume Stretch Pay was one of them. Any word in the app? I am trying to get the app prioritized. It is a hard conversation because my view on the app is our stats basically show that most people don't actually use the app. In Kickstarter's case, at least, Kickstarter stats show most people don't use the app. But even the fact that people want an app means that GameFound is sitting there saying, hey, we listen and we change and we iterate. And people are like, where's the app? And GameFound's like, nope. And I think it's not the best look. Even if it is only 5 to 10% of people who use it, I think it's not the best look. There are many good reasons why GameFound does not have an app yet. I think we need to do better at either spreading those reasons more publicly so people understand that, or alternatively, sucking it up and making an app. There's also issues right now with Apple and PWA in Europe, which is a part of the problem as well. An app is something that likely will happen at some point, but it is not currently the development priority at GameFound. Do you see that AR is teasing a new campaign for including Castle Burgundy? I saw their Awaken Realms Next banner, and one of those slices, you might think that slices Castle of Burgundy. It's not. I'll tell you that much. It's not. Now, whether or not Castle of Burgundy is coming is a different conversation. But I will say that none of those slices on that banner are Castle of Burgundy. Nice. Was it Chip Theory Sword or something else? I have juggled the Chip Theory Sword too. I'm not going to do it right now. That one's harder to do in the basement because the... Should I do it now? No, I'm not going to do it now. That one's hard to do in the basement because I'd have an easier time juggling it not down here because I could throw it with more freedom. Over here, it has to be a constrained flip because the ceiling's not that high, and it also has to be done with a lot of control on a non-balanced blade. Those are all hard things to do. But I have done it. It's on camera. Any chance you'll get a copy of the Street Masters to review? I assume so. From Steamforge, they send me this stuff most of the time, so yes, I assume so. Luigi, do you generally sleeve all your games? If so, how do you handle storage for games with a lot of sleeve cards? I used to sleeve a lot more. I still sleeve. I have a lot of sleeves, but I generally only sleeve games once I think that I'll play it more than once I know I like it. I mean, I don't sleeve them right away. I play it, decide if I think I'm keeping it, then I sleeve it, and even then, only in games where I think it's more relevant to the content. So, something like Monster Hunter World, where there's a ton of cards, and I probably am only going to play through it once, I probably wouldn't sleeve. So, and as far as how to handle storage, like for instance, The Witcher Old World, I sleeved, and that's a huge problem. I compress and or throw out inserts where I need to. I do not keep sleeves separate. The insert will go away in order for me to keep the sleeves in the box, in order to keep the cards in the box. Alex, don't break NDA, that's Meg's job. I haven't broken any NDAs. I've been very careful. John Frosty, you could be late for the meeting and just blame your Wi-Fi. That's true. Gary, a live stream, hard to find then. Sorry my comments are delayed, but my connection is lagging. You're all good? Debating instead to watch Deluxe or Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Looking for a small box game to add to my collection. I don't own any Gloomhaven. There's so many different reasons why I'd recommend one or the other. Without knowing more, I'd recommend Jaws of the Lion. But if I know more about your preferences, then I could recommend either. Corey, I know stream is probably done soon, but I'm popping to say have an excellent day. Corey, I hope you have an excellent day. Frequency of Life. What's your opinion on Vital games? Do you like them in general? Favorites, dislikes? I haven't played most of them. I've played Mikado Lisboa. I've played Lisboa. I think I will be playing, not Weather Machine, but Era of Invention or Age of Invention, whatever the Invention one was. But I will be playing. I have not played yet. I think Vital Lacerda is similar to Splotter for me, in the sense that his games are incredibly well done, and I don't need that many in my collection because the mental load is so high that I just don't care enough. I'd rather play a Stefan Feld game. I find that the mental load of Stefan Feld game is much lower, and I get a lot out of it. Versus Lisboa is like a better game. It's more intricate. It's more going on. It's rewarding, but it's so much more to remember and process and learn. And I just find that I don't play those kinds of games enough to have more than a handful in my collection. So I'm happy to play any of them. Like, I could see myself playing, you know, On Mars and then being like, this is the one I need. I could see that. But I haven't yet played most of his games, and so far the ones I have played were very enjoyable, and I don't need them to be the ones I own. Pariah, I want Galactic Cruise. That feels like a Lacerda game. It does have that aspect. And it's in the same place for me. Like, Galactic Cruise is not rules heavy. It's not. It's rules a lot. There's a lot of intricacies and complexities going on there's a lot of intermingling, but nothing's complicated. It all makes sense. But like, if you want to play Galactic Cruise, it might be like 45 minutes before the person fully understands the game. And did you teach them that, or did you just start playing? It's like a lot of those complicated questions of just how to balance around that. So I enjoy Galactic Cruise. I've had fun with it. I'm happy to get a copy and own it for now, but unless it gets tabled, it would leave, and I would just play other games that get tabled instead. Have you not played On Mars, Alex? I have not. I think I've only played Mercado de Lisboa and Lisboa. I'd have to go through his titles, but I think those are the only two I've played from Lacerda himself. Alright, everyone, I think we are going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to go ahead and get prepped for the next meeting. I will not be drinking more alcohol, at least not yet. This is seltzer. But I will see how the day goes, because I might need more. I need coffee, too. I'm so drained. I'm tired. Like, this is... It's been a morning. My morning today was... I had a meeting at 9 o'clock. I had another meeting at 9:30. I had a meeting at 10 o'clock. At 10:30, I filmed a video. At 11 o'clock, I had a meeting. At 11 o'clock, I had a meeting. At 11:30, I filmed a video. At 12 o'clock, I filmed a video. Then I got work done. And then we had the live stream now at 1. And then that's till 2. And then after this, I have to see if I'm filming a video or focusing on some GameFound emails first. I might do some GameFound emails first. We'll see. Anyways, thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you all soon, and I'll see you next week. Next week is going to be the game show. I know we said this week was a game show. That didn't happen. As of right now, next week is the game show. We'll see if that does or doesn't happen. And the week after that, I'll be at Gamma, so there'll be no live stream. But anyways, until next time, I hope you all have a good one, and enjoy.